All right, man. I need some help with something.
Okay, what do you got?
How is the best way to deal with rumors?
Ooh, Sorry. Um,
So
that's a difficult one. Are they good rumors or bad rumors?
they're bad rumors. Now,
Okay.
these ones are not about me, but
Okay.
we are currently dealing with some organizational shifts in our life.
Okay.
Multiple different areas, work, religious organizations, everything. I've had a lot of changes very, very recently. And as any change brings, it always brings comments, rumors, hearsay, some good, some bad.
Mm-hmm.
What is the best way for us as upstanding gentlemen to deal with rumors, hearsay, positive, negative? What's the best way for us to deal with this? Talk me. Let's just talk this through, because this is an item that I got pretty heated last night in a discussion with my wife on.
Okay.
Because someone said something to her, I didn't like it. Was I overreacting? Probably.
Okay.
But I went off.
Okay.
Not on that person. Went off more to my wife, just basically showing I am frustrated, and here's all the rumors, and here's all the crap. Talk me down, man.
Well,
Help me here.
I think for a lot of people, it's easier to say from being on the outside because it's difficult to be in that trench at the time. But there's a fine line between productive conversations about a sensitive topic and rumors or hearsay or gossip.
So I was definitely not in the right mindset for that. I was burn it to the ground,
Well,
and that
yeah, sometimes
it was the wrong attitude. I was in the wrong.
Sometimes
Definitely
there's
the
a
wrong
place and a time for that, though. You know, especially because if you've got a situation where, you know, from your point of view, you know, it bothers you that you reacted that way, or at least it would seem. But I would say, sitting here listening to that story, at least you didn't do that to someone you were talking to or a group of people or something. You were able to vent that out to your spouse,
Yeah.
right? Which to me would be better than you spreading or sharing or discussing those sensitive topics in a less than ideal way with some other people, right? Because your spouse is there regardless. They're your rock.
Right. I didn't go right to social media and just start blasting
Yes,
people.
because it's important that you don't let your emotions control your conversations,
And
especially when they're those sensitive ones.
right, and I could feel myself getting more upset. And then, of course, I'm reading, the look on my wife's face. She's not happy with the fact that I am this upset.
Right?
And, she's asking the very logical, normal questions of, is that what that means? Are you sure? How do you know? I mean, all the very logical, normal things that a trusted friend, and, God bless my wife for that. Like, really, I'm very blessed by her, because I don't usually get there. But I was very proud that in that moment, she's like, hey, are you sure? You might not be wrong, but is that the road we want to go down? Is that really the best way to proceed? And I really, I love her. I respected that. But I know at times it can get real difficult for us to take some kind of emotion, something that's happened, a perceived or actual affront, and how do we deal with that as gentlemen, as Kingsman here?
That's a hard one. That's a hard one. Especially, I would say, I've heard a lot of times from a lot of people, some different variations of the saying, but it's commonly said that you don't discuss topics of sensitive nature in groups of multiple people, or in large quantities of, I guess, what's the term for that? Big crowds, or within a group of a lot of people, because it can easily turn into that, gossiping, rumors, sharing that. So I would say one of the big things to do or a suggestion that I would make is to talk out those sensitive things with a single or maybe two people that you really trust on the topic that you're talking about. Because if it really is important to you and it really is that sensitive, you probably are going to get emotional. So sitting down with someone who's maybe not directly involved in it, but yet someone you trust, who you know is going to be based in what they say and think, and sitting down and talking it through with that person, whoever that person is. But I think it's important that that person not be someone involved in the situation.
I think you're definitely right there, because that, I believe, is one of those fine lines between I am, the purpose of this conversation is I am seeking help and understanding versus the fake one, which is just the straight gossip of, I really don't know what to do about Julia.
Yeah.
No, that's very different. No, it's the, hey, have you prayed for Jenny today? She's going through some stuff. Yeah. No. This is you got to find that trusted friend, trusted confidant. Usually someone who's either been through something similar and gotten through it in a successful way, because you don't want to go to someone who's just failed all along the way, or just someone wiser who you think, hey, I just need some help, or I just need to talk it through. Because a lot of times I found, like, if I'm just fired up, one thing I need to do, maybe I just need some time for myself. For me,
absolutely.
Maybe I just need some, where guys, I feel like aggression, just physical aggression helps get that out. Gym, walk, run, probably don't fight with someone, but just get it out, get your mind going, get your body going, and then just talk it out. Sometimes it's time, sometimes it's talk it out, and sometimes it's, hey, I need advice as well. And I think we as guys, we don't want to just bottle it up forever, because then it just builds and builds and builds and builds, and all of a sudden I'm blowing up on someone. When really I need just calm down. And if it's with a specific person who I can talk to, once I've maintained composure, biblically, I need to reach out to that person and say, hey, we need to talk. I'm hearing things, or this happened to me, or you did this, or I did this. Help me get through this, if possible.
Yeah, I think it all comes back to that very critical point of having good people around you. Because if you've got a few close people that you can trust to have those difficult, even if you want to call them vent sessions, where you can trust them that you can talk to them, and you know that they're going to be able to take that type of, feedback and, communication and respond appropriately. Those trusted very few people in very limited interactions with, the quantity of people that are involved, usually a face-to-face with one other person, where you can talk out those difficult conversations. Because if you go to someone, who's just, a pal, a buddy, somebody, right? Or even if it's your coworker, I think this happens a lot, is people will go, they'll just end up in conversation with a coworker about something that's bothering them, something they're struggling with. Maybe it's personal, maybe it's professional, and they just end up venting and gossiping, and then it turns into this really unhealthy communication between the two people, where they're both just bashing somebody else, or maybe they're, just tearing something down. I think it's important that who you choose to have those difficult conversations with is critical, and that you actively ensure that you're not sharing negative comments about people or other things to just anybody, especially in groups of people. Because I don't know the psychology behind it, but it's very common that when you get a group of people together and a certain person or context or topic comes up, it just immediately turns into this bash fest where everyone's just tearing on whoever or whatever it is that's going on that's of sensitive topic. And I think, professional workplaces are a great instance of that. If you've got a coworker that nobody likes and everybody gets together in the break room and then just manager or boss, everybody hates the boss, right? And everybody just wants to talk bad about him. Instead of going to, maybe a more trusted individual and saying, hey, I've got these issues with my boss, right? Like, struggle here, I struggle there. This is why I think this or whatever. And you can have those talks, right? You're probably going to get emotional, especially in some personal areas or contexts. But having that person that you can trust to talk to and hash out those difficult conversations, I think that's how you handle those situations.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's absolutely correct. You nailed it. It comes back to, what is the goal of this relationship?
Mm-hmm.
If I don't really care about the person or that relationship, I'm going to be very hesitant to even attempt to reconcile it. But further, I'd be more apt to just burn it to the ground. So one thing I've been working on with that is, if I have a problem with someone, whether it's from how I view them, something they've done, something I've heard they've done, 'cause we started this about rumors, but it's rumors, hearsay. It is any negative talk.
Yep.
And one thing I have found more than helpful, and it's something I don't love to do it, is if I have a problem with Jim, I have to pray for Jim.
Yes.
And that is just...
That's hard.
It is.
It's really hard.
And then to try to pray knowing I'm talking to God and I need to be genuine.
Yeah.
I genuinely hope his brakes stop. No, yeah. I can't be doing those kind of prayers.
Yeah. No, it's...
But it's humbling. It reminds me, hey, there's a person over here. What is my role?
Yep.
And then it's not, how can I get Jim to behave different?
Yep.
It's, I'm consulting God, I'm consulting my friends. What do I need to do to react better, to be better?
Yep. The phrase is, love your neighbors, not put up with your neighbors as long as they get along with you, right? Like,
yep.
It's the hard part of those difficult people to get along with, or the difficult conversations to have, is you have to genuinely take the first step of good faith. And sometimes it's hard. Sometimes that's really hard when someone said something about you or done something to you, or maybe it's just not directly, but you have that sensitive situation. And sometimes the best thing to do with those is to just take some time, take a day, an hour, even 5 minutes just to breathe and, think, let your thoughts out, think them through. But yeah, that's a hard thing to do.
I mean, even in the early days of my marriage and when I was dating my wife, if I had just kept my mouth shut for 5 more minutes, I probably would have had my foot in my mouth a lot less.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. That's why I think, we talk mostly to, young men who are trying to aspire to be better men. And as we ourselves are on the road to becoming better men.
Yes.
It seems more and more that as I get older, the less someone says, the more meaningful their words are.
Yep. Where words are many, sin is not far away.
Yep. And obviously there's always outliers, but it just seems like somebody who doesn't say a lot usually has some of the best things to say. And if you listen to them, you'll learn that. And it's a good, at least for me, I think it's a good point to notice that, hey, maybe I should take a note here, and instead of just saying the first thing that comes to my mind when I get into those situations, is just to think about it, think about what I'm going to say before I say it, and then, and then respond, right? So
listen, not just to respond, but listen to understand.
Yep.
And then
Absolutely.
Respond.
Absolutely.
And I'm not, like, if I'm having, let's say I have that discussion, I reach out to the guy, and it doesn't go well. What's my item now? In a moment, am I just going to try to win? Well, what does win look like? If this is someone I'm going to be involved with for more than 5 minutes.
Yep.
If this is a business colleague, we're going to be together for a while. If this is part of a religious organization or a church, we're going to be together for a while.
Mm-hmm.
One thing years ago, when I was having a hard time connecting or having issues with some people at a church, I had to remind myself, if I change my mentality and think, I'm going to be hanging with this person for 10 to 15 years.
Right.
Am I going to let this influence me in this way, or am I going to seek reconciliation because we are going to be on the battlefield side by side for 10 years? I can't have crap just sit there and stew and wreck what could possibly be something really beneficial and honoring to the Lord.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to think about those relationships in a long-term context, that can be difficult to do at the time because you feel like you want reconciliation or justice or whatever you want to call it, closure to a certain situation. But yeah, sometimes it's worth it to lose the battle to win the war.
Yep. And one thing on the business side, I try to think of this in my job. A successful car salesman is not the one who sells the most expensive car. The most successful car salesman is the one who has the most repeat customers.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely.
And when I help a client with their accounts, when I do a deal with a guy, my question at the end of that deal is hopefully, is this guy and are we both willing to do another deal together in the future? Are we willing to negotiate? Same in sports. Am I willing to play with this guy again, making sure that we're both getting better? Did I learn something from this? Or was it a poor experience all around? No, we have to play that long game. It's not just this sale. This sale is every sale. And every conversation is the same way.
Yeah. I think that's just even more so just points to the thought process where you can't just lash out and say what comes to the top of your head, especially when you get into those difficult conversations like you mentioned where rumors or gossip are thrown around. You gotta take a minute, think about the long term, breathe, think your thoughts through before you say them, and then once you say it, you can never take that back. Once it comes out, you can't take it back. You can think it 1,000 times, but the minute you say it, it's out there.
You don't know the damage or the good, what could be done by just a word to someone. There are some items that I have from years ago. This one on the back of my head. It could be an encouraging word. It could also be something just said in anger or an offhanded comment. Those things can stick with you. And we would hate to be the ones to absent-mindedly cause years and years of grief and pain to someone for an offhanded comment.
Yeah. Or another thing, I think I've had this happen before in my life, and it's a difficult, it's a rough thing to experience. But if you've ever heard a gossip or heard a rumor or whatever, and you just kind of inadvertently assume that it's true, right? You don't really fact check it, but everybody seems to be saying it or thinking it, right? And then you actually talk to the person, maybe not even directly about that topic, but you come to find out in direct contact with that person that that's not true at all, but you've been believing it and acting towards that person as if it was true.
Yes.
And then you're like, man, I didn't even think to checked it before, and now I've been subconsciously believing this lie and even spreading the same thought to other people, and comes to find out that's not true. It wasn't the case at all. So
that's hard.
Yeah, I think it's just careful what you say. I think at the end of the day, it comes down to careful what you say before you say it.
And if you happen to be part of, let's say you're one step out, you hear all the gossip. Maybe your role in that moment is to say, hey, where did you hear that? What? Oh, really? I found this one to be effective. You just walk up and say, oh, we're talking about Jim again. I'm sorry to the invisible Jim who is just causing all my problems today. I walk up and say, hey, you know, why don't we just go ask Jim? All of a sudden, conversation's done. Mm-hmm. They're like, no. They'd rather live in the what if in a rumor game because it's fun for them because they're not seeking to actually have a good relationship with Jim. Me, I got to work with Jim.
Right.
So, you know, and it takes courage to say, look, yeah, because you're going to be a little bit, they're going to push back on you a little bit. You're going to be, oh, you're the guy like that?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, sometimes you got to be the guy who stands up for truth, even if you don't know what it is yet. Like, hey, this isn't how we handle this. We have stuff to do. We got to work with Jim tomorrow. I don't want to go believing X, Y, and Z. Let's just get out in the open. And truth is the best disinfectant. Light is disinfectant here.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.